back. There goes Keisha. Did I return a phone call back? Right? No, you have to be almost like a stalker, like they said. But what you can do is start with the discretionary opportunities. Find out who the chief diversity officers are at these places. And right now, again, due to like MWB advocacy, like Kenya and myself have done, Rebecca over the years, all the agencies now have to have a chief diversity officer. Years ago, Wendy Garcia was one of the only at the comptroller's office. You're the only one. And during COVID, let me tell you, when COVID happened, from that first week, every week, her and her team had conference calls, just keeping MWBEs just encouraged, said, hey, social media.
How do you know when the fears are coming?
When the fears are coming, so what you do is you connect with the MWBE officers at the agencies, you get on their mailing list, and you follow them, and UPS are having an MWB virtual procurement fair from 9 to 2, where you can connect with community board organizations that also have state funding, right? Because again, once you're certified with New York City, New York State, you can connect with chambers of commerce, CBOs, other primes to be a subcontractor to get these discretionary opportunities. Okay? Don't give up.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to take two more. I think I have three. Third, okay, you go. And then I have somebody over here, the gentleman over here, and then you.
Yes. Buenos días. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here. And I childcare provider. I have my family daycare in the Bronx. Thank you, Chamber, for inviting me. And I have a question. We offer an affordable space to the kids growing and the families going to their work, they make the future consume in the restaurant. You know, they are available to work for the state, for the city. And my childcare offer like a 4 spots. They can work with me too, and I work in my program too. You know, we pay taxes, the families too. And I have a question: how I can advocate for tax relief for childcare settings?
Good question. So Julie mentioned that the city is pursuing universal childcare on the city level. We have also been pursuing universal childcare on the state level. But we have admittedly been thinking about the problem from a consumer perspective. This is one of the first times that I hear a childcare provider actually mention the tax burden that exists on them. So I'd love to learn more about what are some of the burdens and how are they specific to the industry, because we do recognize that it's an industry that's going to grow, especially as we sort of universalize it. There's going to be a ton of money going into the sector and it's going to explode, and we want to make sure that we know that that creates opportunities in our communities, but we also want to make sure that it doesn't railroad folks who have already been existing and get them squeezed out of the sector unintentionally. So I don't have an answer for you right now, but I'd love to learn more about it and see how we can be helpful.
So what we will do, because we work with childcare providers too, is maybe do a roundtable.
I would love that.
You
Yes, I would love that. I would
So
love
you
that.
can- Yes,
Yes,
we can
and
talk
we can
about
invite Julie
it.
in
Yes.
as well, because we know that so many of these issues
Of
are
course.
city and state sort of layered.
Of course. You wanted to ask something? No, okay. So we have two more questions. It's you and we don't want to discriminate.
I'm a feminist, so okay. And a cool one. My question, my point is, you talk about scaling up, and one of the ways,
Can you stand up so we can?
okay, I'm too tall. But one of the best ways of scaling up,
I'm sorry, what is your name?
my name is Wilson. I'm from a company called Complexity. It's a knowledge networking platform and consultancy that I own. So one of the best ways of scaling up is creating collaborations, especially if you're in the same business or if you want to diversify, and if you can afford a good lawyer, accountant, or consultant, or you can come to the Columbia Business School. They have free service with the MBA students that help you build up collaboration. So when you build collaboration with similar businesses, you scale up. You can have better resources. You pool knowledge, especially complementary knowledge. You pool networks, different business ideas. I don't see that in small businesses. So I don't know how we can support that, but forming joint ventures, holding companies, LLCs, there are legal ways of doing it, collaboration, but you need to build trust to do that
Yes.
in networks. So I don't know what the city is doing that, but I think that's the best way of scaling up and getting all the contracts. Thank you.
Yes, we totally agree, right?
Yes, we do.
We totally agree. You want to add to that?
Yeah,
Rebecca?
I think what you're hitting on is really important. I 100% agree with it. And I think we've talked a little bit here about sort of misperceptions of like self-made people or self-made entities and how that's it's a facade. It's not true. I think that, in my opinion, specifically within, I definitely think women deal with this. Because, and I'm going on studies, we're not comfortable handling more than what we can have the capacity to do. And that becomes a challenge with the public sector because you will be forced to grow or you have to be content staying kind of where you're at. And we want growth. The goal is growth. And I think the second piece to it is, I think you're hitting on what things are typically systemic too, is that we have to have a communal view of even business. And it is your business, and it is something that is, whatever compelled you to do that is there, but you are a part of people who also chose this path. And it helps mitigate risk. It helps you get in a position where you don't have to be all things to all people. And it also puts you in a position where you can collectively share resources. The example you gave is like, if I can afford a lawyer, then I'll handle the lawyer. Can you handle the admin? These things are too big for one company. Even the primes, and you see their names everywhere, they've got like 30 subs, and you may not know that. So I definitely agree with it. I do think that this is something that we also put into the makeup of our contractor class. Of like, you share ideas and collaboration with each other. I don't have to tell you the risk of that. And I have some people like, well, but what if? And the what if is always there. What is that? What if you fall, but what if you fly?
Yeah.
And like, this is a risk this is a business risk that you have to take. And it is essential in the public sector to collaborate with each other, whether that be joint ventures, whether that be subcontracts. Whether that be teaming arrangement, other types of teaming arrangements, it's essential.
And you're absolutely right, and we talk a lot about teaming, and we talk a lot about joint venture. And, one of the challenges or one of the excuses I would say that a lot of times agencies, primes use not to subcontract, not to give you a contract, you don't have the capacity. We hear that so often. No, you don't have the capacity, or we ourselves think we don't have the capacity. Yes, we do, because look, right here, you're in a room full of, business owners. So, as Rebecca was saying, and as this gentleman also brought it up, is that just team up. Just team up. Sometimes we see an RFP, a request for proposal, we see a bid, we're like, oh, I can do this piece, but I can't really do this piece, so I'm not gonna go for it. No, start building your network. This is why we do this also. You start building your network, and then you build your company, right? And you put your team. You build your team, and your team doesn't have to be just employees. Oh, sorry. Your team doesn't have to be just employees. We have a team at the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, and we do amazing things. And we are small. We're a small organization, but we have Rebecca, and we have Keisha, and we have others that we subcontract. And that helps us build the capacity, and that helps build our team. They become part of our team. And that's what's trending. That's what's happening now. We do know that. So start identifying those other businesses that are going to help you build your capacity so you can go for bigger contracts. I have one more. Yes, go ahead. And one more, that's it.
Good morning. My name is Yesenia Reyes. I have a wholesale distributor of household products.
We supply housewares and general merchandise to supermarkets, New York City, Long Island, in the tri-state area really. My question is, and it kind of piggies back on what you're saying, is I've been certified for almost 2 years. I have yet to receive a contract. I have a bid that has not been awarded and it's almost a year. And you know, we hear all these challenges and all these issues that we as minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses are having. My question is, I've been hearing ever since I got certified that primes have a responsibility of awarding 30% of, or contracting 30% of their contracts. How are they being accountable for in the city and state level that this is actually being met? Because like you say, Kenya, they could potentially say, well, you don't have the capacity. So, but I do have the capacity to serve you, you have to give me the chance. So how are these primes being held accountable so that they are meeting this request by law that they need to subcontract 30%?
So this is a really, really great question. This is probably one of the most frustrating parts of this work, is that for legal reasons, you can't, these are goals. You hear them always framed as goals. You hear them always framed as targets, because legally you can't mandate them, because then you get into kind of a discrimination space, which is, it feels counterintuitive, right? Because what we're actually trying to do is balance the scales. The law and real life don't always meet in the middle. And so, but it is a problem, right? Because it opens a back door for contractors to say, well, I tried my best, didn't get there, only got to 5 or 3 or 2%. And that's really problematic. So one of the things that we are exploring now is how do you create meaningful incentives as bumps to say, you get to 30% and you get an extra $1 million on your contract. You know, get to half of that, you get 20K, whatever feels meaningful. But I don't have to tell you that we live in New York where everything is a competition, and unfortunately state resources are finite. And so it's the advocacy piece that we should talk about as a community, right? Getting folks who are in legislative positions of power to understand that these are ways that are worth spending our money. Because that's ultimately the fight for every dollar in state government. Is this investment worth it? And to say, is it worth it to bump this contract, have $1 million bonus? Sure, I know it is, because I know that's gonna provide $20 million worth of investment in our communities, but that's a message that needs to be carried forth throughout the business community so that it's heard in the rooms that matter, and that we're convincing people that this is a good use of money. So the answer is, we can't legally say, you're dinged on your contract if you don't meet your goals. But I do think that you can catch a lot of people with a carrot.
But really quickly though, ever since I got certified by, you know, whatever agencies or whatever resources I've had out there, it's always been, the language has been, it's a mandate. This is the very first time that I hear that it's not a mandate. You know, so it's kind of maybe like a misinformation as well. So.
Yes, I hear that point, and I think that that's part of, we can talk about it more, but the bottom line is that you can't claw back a contract if they don't make that, if they don't meet that.
I think what they do is they upfront a process where they make it difficult. So like you have to really prove that you've tried everything you could do and haven't been able to meet that. I think there's some,
And then they can apply for a waiver also.
they can apply for a waiver in that case. I think there's some on an agency per agency basis. Some of them are really hardcore about it and some of them are not. But yeah.
So I think one of the, yes, so there, it is a mandate, the law is a mandate, but then as every law, it has its loopholes. That's what it is. It has its loopholes like that, like why didn't find anybody? Or I'm a totally integrated company where I can perform every single task. And therefore I'm asking for a waiver. You know, those type of things. So there are ways, so I agree with you.
And I should clarify that what I meant, that you get into legal discrimination issues, is if you try to claw back a contract, that's where the concern is. That if the state said, okay, you didn't make it, I'm pulling your contract, that then you'd be into litigation that would jeopardize the whole system altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
So-
then NWBE, it would just be gone altogether, and that's
Yeah.
not
Exactly. So I think one of the things that we also need to do is when we spoke a lot about outreach. I think one of the things that we have to look at the law, because it always go back to the law. And the great thing is that the law is a living document, and we can always go and change it. When we work on that a lot, Rebecca, Kish, and I. And it's always looking at that. How can we improve that? And one of the things is, because I've gone through this with prime contractors and local, in communities, what I have said to them, okay, so I see you got this contract. I need you to hire local MWBEs, and they would say to me, well, here's the website. Let them go there. And I said, no. You have to do an information session. We will help you with that, but you have to do, well, we don't really have to. No, I'm asking you. Okay? So those are things that could be mandated. No, you have to do an information session. It is part of the law. So those are the little things that, might not seem important, but they need to be in there.
It's, and then there's precedence, because in
Yeah.
compliance, they call it greatest extent feasible effort.
Mhm.
So how are you showing your greatest effort to
Yes.
make this?
Yes, you have to like market yourself. It's all about relationships because there's certain agencies that they get contracts they give out contracts all the time, right? So again, there's like the New York City MWBE certification, this is in New York State. There's different like community groups that get this all the time, and they're like, you know what, I'm not going through this whole list of 11,000 certified MWBEs. So what they do, pick up the phone and call who they know. So that's why you gotta show up, be in the room, let people speak for you, get to use social media. Like every time I get the mic, I'm like, hello, I'm Keisha Palmer Cousin, Rubber Soul Incorporated, G&K Sweet Food. If you say that everywhere you go, let people know what you're doing, guess what? People are like, you know what? I see an opportunity. They will call you and say, girl, I saw this RFP. You need to like apply for it. No, seriously, because the men do it all the time. They refer work to each other, whether they're qualified or not. Right? They're like, let's just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? We'll get it. Oh shoot, we'll get it. Now I have to self-contract out to subject matter experts. Start thinking like that.
And I'll tell you this, just to add, and I know we have one more question, that's it. And one of the things that I learned, because we also, as a New York Women's Chamber, we're contracted by the city and the state. So one of the things that I will look at who got the contracts, for instance, right? Who's getting the contracts? And we will make that call and say, hey, we can help you meet your MWB goals. Right. We can help you do this, okay? And you have it in your contract, so that's important. So it's sometimes, for instance, with the state, because the state covers any entity that has a contract with them. The city is different. The city, for instance, Human Services, doesn't have utilization, MWB utilization goals, but it will have it soon, because I know Michael Garner promised that. But the state, even nonprofits have utilization goals. If you, a nonprofit, and you have contracts with the state, you have MWB utilization goals, but a lot of them don't know that. They don't even know that. So you gotta go to the controllers and see who got the contracts, to the sites and see who got it, and then reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed that you have this contract. Mental health right now. A lot of we have clients that do that offer services in that area. You know the amount of money that is being put into mental health right now. So, but you gotta reach out. That's the thing, and make it. And the way you talk to them is that way. You know what? I just want to help you make your MWB utilization goals. What do you need? What do you need? And that works. That works a lot of time, because sometimes people say they have this mandate and they know they have to do it, but they don't want to look to 10,000 companies that are certified. So make it easier on that. Make it easier on that.
If you go to Open Book NYC, that will show you every single state contract. Open Book NYC, and it'll list every single state contract that has been given out, and you can go reach out to those clients that have won the contracts, and they'll tell you the amount of the contract and how much has been utilized. So this way you can say, guess what? You want a $5 million contract, you only use up $1 million. Hey, let me help you reach your NWB goals with that. Okay?
Yeah, and you can also talk to the agencies. When you see an opportunity happening, for instance, the whole asylum seekers, all these people that are coming in, you know that the city and the state have to provide services to these people. Somebody has to do it, you know. So right now, they're looking at how they're going to be doing that. Reach out and say, look, I do this. I provide the services, and I think that this is something that you might want to, you know, that you might have a need for. They might not even have an RFP yet, but that will make them think also about it. Because we have done that.
And by the way, there are RFPs out there. Go to the city record online, and they have started putting in those RFPs for services and products for the asylum seekers.
Yes.
They're there.
Yes, a lot. We see it coming out constantly. So we have, I think it's one more question. Is that it?
I want to go back to a comment you made, Keisha, about taking small
Oh, you
contracts.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a
Yes, she's first, and then you, okay? Yes, it's her, yes. Because she had her hand up, and yes, thank you.
Hi,
And we're gonna close it.
I'm Marcy Keenan, and my company is Preventive Lifestyle Assistance Network. I have pivoted to doing corporate wellness virtual services for companies. And I stress pivot because I want to bring to your attention something that's going on with the New York State Medicaid. I started my company as a partner with the CDC, National Diabetes Prevention Program. I got super excited when New York State became a payer for this program, right? So I'm in with the CDC, I'm in with New York State, only to discover that in the process of getting paid, I have to do contracts with, there are 18 of them, the MCOs in New York State. About 7 of them are prevalent in the New York City area. I had an opportunity to speak to the big wigs at New York State Medicaid. There's a very simple fix to this, and that is to pay those people who do and this is an important program. I don't have to give you stats about diabetes, right? This is for pre-diabetes, trying to prevent the 50% that typically will become type 2 diabetics. It's lifestyle oriented, it can be reversed, it can be prevented through lifestyle changes, and that's my specialty. But if they do Medicaid fee for service, somebody here knows what that means, right? Direct payment, we could have so many more community-based organizations taking advantage of this program, right? It is, again, statistical that churches, community organizations do a much better job of servicing people than the people who are getting the money. Or the money that's just stagnant, $2 billion sitting down. Somebody's gonna say, we need to do something else with those $2 billion. So I'll be stalking you guys. I'm a professional stalker. I don't know how to do on there, but
Welcome to the crowd. Welcome to the club. So I think we have just 2 more, and that's it, because we gotta close it. I'm gonna get this out of here. I think it's the women, yes. Oh, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monique Albernos. I work for my company, Clinical 5S Space Innovations, and what we do is space optimization, transition, and space management services within healthcare. My goal is to make healthcare safer for everybody involved, specifically the care providers, because I come from a family of healthcare physicians and clinicians and nurses, and you name it. I want to go back to one of the comments that 2 people made, Keisha and the gentleman, about teaming. When you were talking about there's no transparency with the small discretionary contracts, I've had to let go of at least 3 discretionary contracts because they were 100% self-performed. And I think if I would have had the opportunity to subcontract at least a portion of it, I would have been able to get more contracts. So I think that's some feedback you would take immediately to see if you can remove that restriction for the small discretionary purchases. I think you get more MWBE's participation in that.
Especially now that we're trying to widen the amount of discretionary purchases, it would make sense that we can remove that.
Is that we can't find them, number one, so the fact that I even got something to me, it was so exciting, and the fact when I was ready to like team up with a mental health provider to do some of the stuff for the program management, it specifically said 100% self-perform. Then I had to say I wasn't able to do the services.
So we gotta change that. Yeah, the same way that we're unbundling, we're trying to get, most of the contracts are bundled, that's also important.
But some of these purchases are at the discretion of like the MWBE officer or the purchasing officer, so they can like split it the way they want to a lot of times, so each agency is different. They have different rules, but small purchase, micro purchase, MWBE non-competitive method, they all got different names for it. So it's up to their discretion, like relationships are so key and so important. And so the key is to get to know those major decision buyers and purchases for the agencies so they can, work with you to give you what you need, okay?
Thank you.
One more and that's it.
Hello, my name is Danielle Sullivan of Southern Financial Solutions. I am a financial service provider as well as a financial advocate for the city, helping to teach the youth and women about financial literacy. And so my question is, the guy mentioned about like collaborative and teamwork, and we also mentioned about like subcontracting, as well as you have the program, the contract her. But for the people that don't get into the program, is there a way for us to continue to like try to facilitate relationships or things of that nature? Even like last year around June, I tried to have like a networking event so that we can bring people in the community together to collaborate and do those type of things. And then also it was like a master class talking about the importance of having your personal finance and your business finances together. Because like with the pandemic, a lot of people weren't able to get the EIDL because their finances and stuff wasn't in order. Or even the setup of the business wasn't in order. So just trying to find a way, if you guys can help like facilitate workshops or networking events where we can come together and really dig into the meat and potatoes, like who has applied and didn't get accepted, and what did that look like, so that we can start to collaborate and stuff like that.
I think these events are the greatest way to sort of start fermenting that. I tell people as an elected official, my #1 job and privilege is that I get to be a glorified convener and just pull a bunch of people together who are doing incredible things and figure out how we can grow that work. You heard Kenya earlier in this conversation saying, let's do a child care roundtable and figure out what are some of those issues and how can we provide relief. This is exactly how it all happens. We're talking about doing a conversation focused on Latino organizations and MWBE struggles because of conversations that are born out of rooms like these. So I think you're exactly in the right place. And I think, yes, I'm committed to you and to everyone. If there are conversations that you think you want to see happen and you want to pull together people across the city and state, please count us as a resource. Our communities are different, but dealing with a lot of the same issues most of the time.
Yes, and in terms of contractor, we have the program every year. It's limited because we can only take so many women, and it's painful to go through the whole list because we get like over 100 applicants, and we can only get 20. We can only admit like 25. This year we went over, actually admitted 31. I think it is today. And we're looking to expand that, and having Amanda here wanted to say that also, that we as the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, we're looking, we need funding to do these programs, which are so important, because for instance our contractor program goes for 1 year. We have the educational piece that Rebecca does and Keisha does, the technical assistance, but that's a full year. But then once you graduate, we want to continue working. This is our 6th year cohort. And we want to, and our women come back and they said, well, we want to continue being in the program. So we now have to look at how do we scale the program so we can continue working with those that graduated. Because those programs are important, because the thing is, and we spoke about this, numerous times, you get certified and that means nothing if you don't know how to use that certification. Okay? That's the reality. It means nothing. You're certified, now what? Okay? And we don't have enough programs that teach you how to use your certification, and that's why contractor is so important. And ideally, we would like to see it, everywhere. So that's, that's a conversation that we're having with city and state, and see how we can expand that, so that next time you apply, you can get in. Because we also want to do it at different levels, depending where our women entrepreneurs are. So, and then just reach out. We do a lot of, events. We do a lot of, educational pieces. One of the things I want to say, if you reach out to us and you want to host an event and you want us to help you, you want us to, I'm looking for partners. I'm always looking for partners. So, if you want to do that, just reach out. We're happy to, to be a partner and help you put it together. Susana has amazing restaurants that, we can go and do it at her place, because I also believe that we need to support our women, entrepreneurs. That's critical. And that's how you connect, and that's how you hear about opportunities, and that's how you work together, and that's how we build each other, by working together. So that's critical. We have
one last thing that I forgot to mention. When you meet elected officials, one of the things that's really helpful and that can make contracts stand apart is letters of support. If you're looking to distinguish your applications, reach out, use connections that you built in these rooms to amplify your applications. I forgot to mention that on my comments.
Go ahead, Susana.
I want to say something briefly. Honestly, it's my first time in this type of event like this. It is really motivating me to say this. If we stick together, I want to offer one of my plays. If we can do some kind of type of event like this every month, as a woman, every month, we could do something to educate each other, because you just say something. I'm certified, and the only thing that I know how to cook, I know how to provide good food, I know how to pack for more than 1,000 people, but I don't know what I have it for. So this type of event, thank you very much. It really educated me a lot. I'm leaving today with full of hope and with a lot of anxious to speak to some of you to continue educating us. And like I say, let's stay together. Let's do this once a month. Once a month, so we can have more knowledge of what we hear and what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a quick comment about, you have this idea, and oftentimes when you go to events, you have the feeling that once you get certified, you're going to become rich, your company will thrive. I said earlier, when I had a baby, I took some time off. I had a stay-at-home mom for almost 2 years. And after that, I wanted to relaunch my business, because during the time when I was off, my clients didn't wait for me. So I got certified in 2016 with the state in August, and December with the city. But the following year, I was everywhere. Every networking event, I was there. And people, it takes a lot of time and energy. It took me a year to have my first contract. 2019 was very good for me. I made almost $80,000, and I was like, 2020, 100,000, and then COVID came, and we have to start over again. So you have to understand that it takes a lot of time and energy, because people will do business with people they're familiar with. Just a name on the list will not cut it. Until you're able to invest that time to be going to events. Some of you might be shy, I'm not shy. Like she said, I go to people, I smile, I talk to them, I give my card. I do the same thing when I meet them again, and I follow up with an email. You have to be persistent to be able to make it. But you have to understand that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But if it pays off, the minute that somebody gives you a chance and you deliver, they will keep using you. But if somebody is asking for a service that you're providing, they're gonna give you a referral. And you know that is priceless. So.
Yes. Every Monday night, people know, do not bother me between 7:30 and 8:30, because I'm listening either virtually, via the TV, or in person at my city council meeting where they list RFP opportunities. I'm sure that locally, wherever you live, whatever county you go to, your city hall website, they have a section called RFPs. Start looking at them and check them out, seriously, okay?
Well, we're going to end it here, because I know that some of you still want to meet each other. And I want to say thank you so much for these amazing, amazing panels. Stay just to listen to you, to every single one of you. So, Susana, Keisha, our Assemblywoman, because the minute I heard that you became the co-chair of the NWBE, I got many calls before I did yes. And immediately they said, you know, Amanda said, co-chair. I don't know how many calls I got. Marisol was one of them. And I said, oh my God, this is wonderful, amazing. So thank you so much for being here, taking me the whole morning to just share information with us and listen, because that's very important, listening to our women entrepreneurs. And to you, Carly, also thank you so much for joining us, for being here. And I'll tell you, she makes the most amazing chocolate strawberry. You and your sister, oh my God. So good. And then the presentation is so beautiful that you don't even want to eat them. But you do. So, yes.
Can I say something to your office and you guys? It took us 3 years to become a Women Business Certified. And only because of your office that we actually were able to do the paperwork, get through it, navigate through the system. We showed up with cakes every week. Everybody in that office helped us tremendously, and we would not be here if it wasn't for your office. So thank you.
Your success is what feeds us. Your success, yes. Whenever we get that call, and Robin is the one that always comes in and says, and this company got certified today with club, we dance. It's like, yay. And then when somebody comes back and says, this person got a contract, that's an even, bigger dance. Because we really, really care. We get you. We're there for you. We know you. We know your struggle. And there's nothing that pleases us more than when you are successful. So thank you very much. Just keep being kind. Network. Harass each other. Call each other. Get to know each other and work together. Because that's how you make this happen. That's how you become successful. Thank you so much for being here.